everyone, and welcome to Royals at the Ranch for Thursday, May 18th, 2023. Lots to talk about this week, and it's pretty much just news and what's going on here with our Royals at the Ranch, the projects I'm involved in that surround our Royals, and what we need some help from all of you for. So the biggest thing that's going on right now is that I am working in cooperation with Reptiles and Research and Sparsholt University in the UK to do an SPI study of Python Regis enclosure use. An SPI study is a spread of participation index. It's used by zoos and other animal facilities as a way to measure how much of an animal's habitat they're using. Which spaces they use more, which spaces they use less, are there any spaces that they don't use at all? And are there things within the habitats that they prefer over others? So our SPI study is going to be specifically around Python Regis to see what we would recommend to the average pet keeper who gets a royal python as a family pet with the materials that are most easily accessible to you if you're a family pet owner of a royal python. And what would we just recommend for best practices that you set up your enclosure? So because what is generally recommended for minimum size for royal pythons is a 4 by 2 by 2 foot enclosure, that's what we are using for our study. And then we have chosen items to put in that enclosure that are easy to obtain and that most people would be able to find through Amazon.com, Chewies.com, or another online pet store, or even at a local pet shop or something like PetSmart or Petco. So if you're a more experienced keeper, you're a more advanced keeper, you have access to more materials than what we are using for our study, we understand that. I use a lot more than what we're going to be using for our study, but we're trying to make this study so that we can inform you if you're maybe getting your royal python and you've never had one before, you're a pet owner that has limited access to specialized reptile equipment. You know, we're trying to think of what can you easily obtain, what are you most likely to use at least in the beginning, even if you progress your care down the road, and still be able to give your royal python optimal welfare and enhanced well-being as you add them to your family. We are setting up an enclosure. We are going to give the snakes a 4-week acclimation period to their new enclosures. We are using 10 lab animals, and by lab animals, I mean animals here from my behavior lab and that are in the homes of the other researchers. And then we are using 10 citizen science animals. Yes, we are using 10 royal pythons in homes with regular people who are going to be doing citizen science out of their home with their one pet royal. All of the enclosures are going to be the identical size. They're all going to be set up in an identical manner. We are putting kits together to send everyone, so everyone is going to have identical furnishings and fixtures and lighting and heating and everything to put in the enclosure so that all 20 setups will be identical. We're going to make sure that identical hotspots are maintained and as best as we can, identical ambient conditions as far as humidity and ambient temperature are maintained. Any variability will of course be outlined in the study, and we don't have any expectations about what we're going to find from the study. We are just going to report what the animals tell us they are using. So we are going to be providing a heat mat in addition to an overhead heating and lighting system. We're going to have overhead UVB and overhead halogen heat. And then we are going to also provide a heat mat because we're going to let the snakes tell us what they prefer as far as heating and lighting. Do they prefer to spend all of their time thermoregulating and warming up using a heat mat, or do they prefer to bask? We don't know, and we don't care. It's all up to what the snakes prefer. So one of the challenges, and one of the things that I'm going to ask all of you to help out with, if you go to our Amazon list, one of the things on our Amazon list is glass. And some people have asked us, well, what do you need the glass for? So over in the UK, in Europe, it is common to provide heat mats in wooden enclosures and in PVC vivs and of course glass vivs. Well, here in the United States, any heat mats that we have are really designed to go on the bottom of glass terrariums or on the side of glass terrariums. They're not designed to go inside or onto the PVC. In the UK, they sell something called a heat mat sleeve, which is a glass sleeve that the heat mat fits into and allows you to safely put it in the viv. We don't have that here, and I checked, and the company that makes those in the UK cannot ship those to the United States. So we are having to make our own heat mat sleeves. The safest way to do that is with 2 pieces of glass, because the heat mats that Zoo Med is so graciously donating for us to use for this study are designed to be used with glass, and they're designed to be stuck on glass with airflow around it. So we are taking 2 tempered glass cutting boards with tiny little feet on the end that would normally hold them up off your counter, and we are putting them together so that the little feet face each other, and it basically makes a sleeve in between the 2 pieces of glass. We are going to put the heat mat in there, and all of the enclosures are coming here first. And Jay-Z from Jay-Z Reptiles, who is part of this behavior project, is going to come over here to my behavior lab. We are going to partially unpack the enclosures. We're going to drill places for the heat mat cords and for the thermostat probes and everything to go through the back of the terrarium. And then we're going to put a grommet in so the snakes can't get out, and we're going to pre-do all that so that when citizen scientists get their kit, get their vivarium or get the kit of everything that goes inside, it's all ready to go. Glass is expensive, and we have been pretty successfully getting the needed items, which are the enclosure furnishings, knocked off of our list on Amazon. Like, some things have disappeared off the list, which tells me that people have ordered them already. And then some things on the list show, 20 needed, 10 ordered and 10 more needed. Or for example, last time I looked at the slate, which we're using for the basking surface, we need 5 packs of slate. 3 packs of slate have been ordered, so we only need 2 more packs of slate. So as you might imagine, the glass is the most expensive thing. It's $38 a sheet. And we need 40 sheets because we have 20 enclosures, and each enclosure needs 2 glass sheets to make this heat mat sleeve. So we have 3 glass sheets coming, and that means we need 37 more. So if you want to help us out for this study, the biggest thing we need right now are the sheets of glass to make the heat mat sleeves. If you order them from our Amazon list, they arrive here in 1 piece. I'll show you what they look like, because I ordered one myself. This is what the slate looks like that we're using for the basking surface. It's got little feet on the bottom, and we're putting that on top of the warm side hide right underneath the halogen so that the snake can bask on that if they like. But this is what the glass looks like. And this 1 piece of glass came in this protective cover, but it also came in a ginormous box with tons and tons and tons of packaging material. And it came inside of another cardboard box placed inside the bigger cardboard box. So it arrived in 1 piece. It was not broken. It was very well packed. So if you are nervous about ordering us this glass, this one arrived in perfect condition. It was very well packed. And then my snakes got to play with all the packaging material after I unpacked it. So basically 2 boxes and all the brown paper and other packaging material that kept this piece of glass safe. So I don't know if you can see here that there are these little feet on one side. So when you have 2 of these, you can face the feet towards each other, and it leaves a space in between big enough for the heat mat to go in and big enough for airflow. That's how we're making our heat mat sleeves. That's really our biggest hurdle right now, because 40 of those to make these units for 20 enclosures is over $1,000. That's really our biggest expense. So we were really worried about starting the study, about getting enclosures and getting the heating and lighting. And enclosure companies have just been fabulous about helping us out. So I definitely want to thank Black Box Cages, Custom Reptile Habitats, Focus Cubed Habitats, and Zoo Med Laboratories for donating enclosures and for donating the heating and lighting and substrate, as well as some of the enclosure furnishings. The rest of the enclosure furnishings we need are on our Amazon list, with the exception of the sky hides. Each enclosure is going to have a sky hide. Amazon doesn't have those, and so we are still looking for somebody to donate 20 sky hide hangers with the hide boxes, or just go to our GoFundMe, make a donation, because once our GoFundMe is at a high enough amount that we can pay to freight the enclosures and freight or ship the kits out to the citizen scientists, anything left over then we can use to buy the rest of the enclosure furnishings. Now that GoFundMe is not just for the SPI study. So Liam Sinclair of Reptiles and Research has this bigger picture project that this SPI study is only just a part of, and it is called the Ball Python Deep Dive. And he has all sorts of exciting projects planned for this deep dive, to include meta-analysis of current research in royal pythons, to include studying royal pythons in zoos and in the wild and in museum specimens, and all sorts of big fantastic ideas that we also need funding for, so that in addition to our SPI study, we're able to accomplish this bigger picture project. So as you might guess, this isn't a short-term project. It's something we expect to go on long-term. The first part of it, the easiest thing that we're doing first, is this SPI study that we hope to have started within 1 to 2 months and completed by the end of the year, and then hopefully published next year. The bigger picture of Ball Python Deep Dive, which is going to be a docu-series including lots of those things that I mentioned, you can expect that to be done over the next couple of years. And so that GoFundMe is really for that whole project. So the more that we are able to raise on that GoFundMe, and the quicker we are able to do that, the quicker we are able to get this thing started and bring you all of this exciting information about the #1 pet snake in the world, Python Regis. So if you have any questions, please contact me at behavioreducationllc@gmail.com or through my website at behavioreducation.org, or contact Liam Sinclair at reptilesandresearch@gmail.com. And you can also find both of us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I will talk with you soon. And you know what to do until then. Everybody, please remember to always be kind and love your animals.